So hello, I'm back again. To continue off what I was talking about, this ain't about the Epstein files this time. This is about the incompetent Congress is not doing their job as elected representatives, and how they are sitting on their hands, having 12 recesses a year, thinking that they don't have to govern for the American public. Well, here's the thing. You could thank the Republican-controlled Congress for your healthcare premiums going up, because they decided they keep saying they got a plan for healthcare. What's their plan? They've been saying it for 10 years, more than 10 years. Actually, I would say 15 years. They've been saying for the last 15 years, we got a plan for healthcare. What is it? Republicans don't have a healthcare plan. They've made it quite clear. And what they're doing right now is they're going to effectively let the healthcare subsidies expire, which has already expired effectively now. People are going to pay insane amounts for their healthcare. Now, how unhumane is that? People will be paying as much as $4,000 a month for healthcare premiums, 2,000, 1,000, 600. Dude, that's the price of a mortgage or rent. Okay, healthcare should never cost that much. Okay, especially in a developed Western country like ours, nobody should ever pay that much for health insurance. Okay, it's horrendous. And like I said, these issues are either going to get dealt with or they're just going to blow up in our face. But one way or another, this stuff's going to have to get addressed. I know these people keep thinking they can sit on their hands and ignore the problem as they profit off these lobbyists. But at the end of the day, you still need a thriving middle class to have a functional country. And if you don't have that, guess what? The whole empire is going to collapse. So I don't know what these corrupt officials plan on doing other than borrowing time before they get voted out of office and face the masses of public outrage. But obviously, they plan on running off and hiding in their bunkers because that's what all these rich people are doing, buying and doing bunker projects and running and hiding as they destroy the planet. But aside from that, a no plan is not an option. Okay, if you guys don't want to vote to extend the subsidies, what's your plan? Because we're not seeing it. Other than the Republican Party's anger and resentment that they never passed a historic piece of healthcare legislation ever. And the Democrats beat them to the punch. Barack Hussein Obama, the president, the former president of the former president, the first African American president, effectively passed a healthcare bill. Nobody else did that. So the Democratic Party got the credit of having the first black president elected and passing the first historic landmark piece of legislation called the Affordable Care Act. Now, is that bill perfect? Not by any stretch. I think, honestly, this is a time to talk about how to better reform our healthcare system and build on the progress that's been done. Not dismantle it, build upon it. Now, personally, I would want to see a Medicare for all universal healthcare system, a multi-payer, a single payer, anything better than what we're dealing with in America right now. But I'm ready to hear other ideas. And I don't want to hear about the markets do the work and blah, blah. No, no, no. I want to hear about a real plan. Okay. Not putting $2,000 in people's pockets, telling them they got to go buy their own health insurance. Don't give it to the health insurance companies. No, that's not a plan. Okay. I want to hear a real plan. Since you guys think the Affordable Care Act's not good enough, what's the plan? Because letting people's subsidies expire is not an option. That is not a plan. Forcing people off their health insurance to die because they can't afford medical care is not a plan. Okay? Because honest to God, if you guys are going to let people lose their health care because you don't want to fix the problem, you know what that message sends to the rest of us as a country? Your plan is to die quickly. We don't care. That's effectively what you're showing the public by your inaction. Now, there are 4 House Republicans that did, to be fair, vote with the Democrats to push a discharge petition to vote on the Affordable Care Act. So if they were to have a vote, it would have passed. because even these people, even these conservatives that hanging on in swing districts know that their livelihood's going to hang on whether people can afford their health insurance. Okay. Because bet your boots, people will be voting on this year. All right. So, obviously, the problem is the leadership in the House. Mike Moses Johnson, who he likes to call himself, is committing dereliction of duty and not governing as a representative. He's purposely stonewalling Congress from passing any piece of legislation of either party. They're all complaining, saying they can't get nothing done in Congress because of Mike Johnson, who, I mind you, if you watched enough segments on the House floor, you would see he's an incompetent leader. He can't govern worth a crap. He don't have his own caucus in control. Okay? He's busy serving the allegiance of the dear leader Trump. All right. That's your House of Representatives Speaker right now. Majority Leader. Congratulations. Yes, America. This is what you voted for in 2024. Pretty bad, huh? You know, I have my criticisms of Nancy Pelosi because I always thought she was of the elite of the establishment. You know, as a real leftist, I'm not a Pelosi leftist. She is more like a corporatist. Thank you very much. She's of the machine and of the system. But the one thing you can say about Pelosi is she had her house in order and she knew how to govern. She could whip those votes up and get people to vote. Okay. And she was a big part of what got the Affordable Care Act passed. Now, I have a lot of criticism of Nancy Pelosi. I was never a huge fan. But I will say this much. She was an effective legislator. And she knew how to lead her caucus into getting things done. Okay. That's more than I could say than the Republican leaders. They couldn't get nothing done. Okay. So, first woman to be Speaker of the House, by the way, too. Right? So that makes you wonder why all these guys are intimidated by powerful women. Well, it shows that when a woman gets power, they're competent. They can be leaders, unlike some of these men who are busy bumping up with their egos. Okay. I wonder why they're intimidated by powerful women. Maybe because when a woman gets the shot to do the job, she actually does the job. And it makes the rest of you egotistical maniacs look like egotistical idiots. Okay? That's just the truth. But, again, this is not about how great Pelosi is. I'm just saying she actually showed she can do the job as leader. Unlike most of these people in the House. Okay? Because she was bailing Republicans out too when they couldn't get anything done. Okay. So, all you crap talkers out there flapping your mouth, what is your party delivering for the American public? What historic leader have you guys ever had to get anything done in Congress that was effective for the American public? Other than trying to slowly dismantle the government. I mean, the only one I would say that was an effective leader in your party was Mitch McConnell, and not for good reasons. I think Mitch McConnell's a pretty awful person. But I will say this much. Mitch McConnell knew how to get what he wanted done. Okay. Just like Harry Reid knew how to do on the Democratic side. Those were leaders that knew how to get things done. Harry Reid, Mitch McConnell, and Nancy Pelosi. I don't know about the rest of these dimwits, though. You know. So, yeah. Welcome to the Congress. Until this November, hopefully. We'll have a new Congress, hopefully, this year. Going into next year. All right, y'all. Have a great night. Goodbye. See you later.